So I just wanted to say that I heard your arguments and I understand like where you're coming from. I will say that I do partially agree because on one hand I do think that literacy is super important, but is it like a sole thing that you need to survive and stuff like that? No, not necessarily. And I say this because different people have grown up like in different ways, different school systems, different districts. Like there's some districts that actually care about test scores and literacy scores and being distinguished and stuff like that. And then there's others that don't really care. They don't really care if you're in the top 10% in the nation, stuff like that. I think it's also important to remember, you know, like the big shift we've had in our generation with education, especially with COVID-19 happening, lots of technology and stuff like that. I do think it's important to acknowledge that, like, you know, a lot of students they're less passionate about learning or like, you know, worried about literacy and stuff like that because it's nothing but, you know, typing into AI and stuff like that. So I think that's important to acknowledge. And then also remembering that in higher education, these are students from all over the place. They don't have to be from America. You know, there's international students, there's exchange students, there's transfer students, stuff like that. So if English isn't their first language and they've spent all their life learning how to read and write in a different language, it's going to be harder for them to read in English, if you know what I mean. So I think just like trying to diminish that and take that away by saying, hey, you have to take reading classes first, I think that is a little bit that would be frustrating. Like, you know, for me, like as a student, that would be frustrating because if I'm coming to a whole different country trying to learn, you know, trying to get my degree, and like, you know, I'm trying to get held back by teachers and stuff like that, that would be frustrating. I know that you also mentioned Louisiana, but I think that also is biased and like kind of diminishes students because Louisiana is one state out of 50 states. So now if it were a federal thing to be passed, then I would understand. But if Louisiana passes something and another state doesn't, you can't expect students in New Mexico to do exactly what Louisiana does. Again, it's like a state thing. So again, like I understand where you're coming from, but I also want to be more opening and understanding and accepting of students who are actually trying, putting in an effort, going to tutors, going to professors, and making sure that they're actually doing what they need to do to pass their classes and learn.